Hello, everyone. I'm so excited. I have Hilary Russo here. Hilary is an award-winning journalist. She is a podcaster. She has her own holistically speaking podcast. And she is a havening trainer. I mean, isn't that a cool combination? So I'm really happy to have you here, Hilary. And maybe just one more word is I just met you as our MC at the Havening conference in New Zealand, and you did such a great job. It was just so lovely to have you there presenting us. And so I'm so happy to have you here on the call.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be here. And while we've been in the circle of havening for years and we know of each other, we've communicated digitally, seeing you in person and being able to give you a big hug was just the
Yes.
benefit of it all.
Yes, that's so wonderful. And as I said, I mean, this idea came meeting the Haveners at this conference,
Mhm.
and I'm just so interested in how did you get into havening with your background, and what is it that's exciting you about havening?
Well, that's a question I get a lot, and I love telling the story because it always comes back to the most different. It's very different from how most people fell into this work, even though we have our own story. But my story pretty much begins with a girl walked into a bar. Because I've been a journalist for 30 years and I work in the health journalism field. And I was moving into the space of holistic health and integrative wellness. And I was already a holistic integrative nutrition health coach and an educator in that field. But in the back of my mind, I knew there was something more. And the universe hears what we put out there, right? So I had a mutual friend of a havening person, and we had gone to a birthday party in New York City, not knowing each other, not even meeting each other until the very end of that party. And as we were getting ready to leave, it was that, normal question of, well, what do you do for a living? Well, what do you do for a living? And I told her, I said, I am a seasoned journalist, but I'm also a host and moving into the holistic wellness space to blend my media and my health background. And I said, what do you do? And she goes, oh, have you heard of havening? And I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. And she said, may I show you? And in that moment, she told me briefly what havening was. She asked if she could actually do the havening touch on me. And it was 5 minutes of 10 minutes, maybe at most, at that bar. And then afterwards, I said, I don't know what just happened, but I want more of it. And that person was Feliciana Tello. And Feliciana and has, as we know, she's the CEO of Havening now. But I had no idea what it was. And to know that that was the first person who ever actually brought Havening into my life. And then a couple of weeks, maybe a month later, I'm taking the training with Dr. Steve and Ron and I volunteered to be a demo on that stage. And after that demo, I was like, I'm in, sign me up. And that's where I kind of moved into the field of holistic mental health and emotional well-being. And I knew that was where I wanted to be.
Great. And as you mentioned, mental health, I mean, we talk about trauma. Most people in some way have background trauma or what I
Mm.
say, some very often even unconscious that it's not unattended. So they just see the effect of trauma and being in that field to be able to put the light on it and put the information and give the information. I just had a talk today about someone who said, I want to talk with teachers and
Mm.
parents and children. I said, just to be able to give them some information really helps them to not blame themselves, to be more self-compassion with themselves. And I think it's a really important thing, especially in mental health.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think all of us in the Havening community, whether you are a student, whether you are a practitioner, whether you are a trainer, whether you're just a supporter of Havening, we all have different fields of interest and scopes of practice and life experiences that we bring to this work that I think really make us special. And it's not about a competition. We thrive in community.
Mhm.
And, for me, my background coming from the field of media, and even the arts, I'm bringing that level to every training that I do, every session that I have in my own life as well. And I think that's really what makes it very special is that Havening is an intimate community. We haven't blown up to where there's millions of Havening practitioners all over the world. And quite frankly, I love the fact that there are not millions at this point because we're not oversaturating. We're very clear with the kind of people we want to maintain the integrity and the legacy of the Havening organization. And of course, the legacy of our co-developing doctors, Dr. Steve and Dr. Ron Rudin.
Mhm. Yes, wonderful. Yeah. And that said, there's also something that my sense is to know havening is a wonderful thing for everyone. Kind of just
Yeah.
to do the
Yeah.
self-havening, to be able
Yeah.
to do the self-havening, to really help them to regulate, to soothe themselves. So in that sense, yes, it's for everyone, and
Yeah.
we want to have also certified people who know what they're doing when they're working, especially with mental health issues, that people are really feeling safe and have a good support when they need it.
And you touch on something really beautiful, Simone. It's that we want this to be available to everyone.
Mhm.
My saying that I say to every client that walks in my room, or even when I'm just having general conversations about emotional well-being and therapy and the how things are changing, is that the antithesis of what I do is I never want to see you again. Meaning with love and respect. Yeah, and I mean that with love and respect. What I mean is I don't want you to have to rely on me. I don't
Yeah.
want you to have to feel that you have to come to a session every week or 2 weeks. And yes, there are deeper things that we should work on, and trauma work should never be done alone. But I want you to build your resilience. I want you to know that you have tools right here to self regulate and self soothe for self care. And then when there are deeper concerns and you need more support, people like myself and you and many out there are present and able to support you and be a guide by your side because I'm not healing you, I'm not treating you, and I'm not curing you. I'm supporting you on your journey to be the detective in your own case, and I'm just your assistant detective.
Lovely. So what I'm hearing is also that people who come to you, you teach them how to self-apply the Havening touch, do how they are able to self-regulate so they can go out, and if things come up, blur up, then they are able to have something, because we have always have our hands with us. So they're
Yeah,
able to really help themselves through difficult situations. And if
right.
needed, then there's
Yeah.
also, and in many cases, there is additional help needed. Yeah, wonderful.
Definitely. And there's power in community too. Like I've been doing my Havening happy hours online since the first week of the pandemic. And I've been hosting those free for people to attend because I believe that this modality is a show, don't tell. And or show don't tell only, because if you tell people, they're not experiencing it. When you show them, you're bringing them into the experience. And so those happy hours for me are an opportunity to guide a self-havening journey and experience, to even demonstrate with a participant that might want to try it and be one of the volunteers, much like I was during that first training I took. And then I also do the intro to Havenings, which go a little deeper, like give you a little bit more. And those are for people that are kind of like, maybe I want to get trained in this. Maybe I want to use this in my practice or my corporation or with my company or my HR department, or I have a close bond to working with veterans, military, and first responders because that's also my background. I mean, while I've been a journalist for years, I was also a military dependent. So I have seen a lot of things that civilian life does not see when you live in the environment of being a military family member. And these are tools that can be put in any workplace, any home, any school. And fortunately, we have people doing it in all these areas, which is amazing because I can't hold space for everybody. You can't either. We need more people to be able to do that. But we want good people. We want people that understand this work and also understand the neuroscience of it and the efficacy of it and also the ethical boundaries that come with using it and sharing with others because as you and I both know in this world there's also an overload of coaches and people who share things they don't know about. I choose to focus on how I can be the best I can be, but we are in this like overload of coaches and practitioners online that can sometimes give information that might not benefit people, you know? So I want to come from that place of integrity and authenticity where what they're learning in the best way possible. And if they're interested in moving forward, then that option is there for them to become a practitioner or use it in their homes, but just have a better understanding of what it means to befriend your brain and manage your emotions and your feelings and your thoughts around it. Have that awareness first.
Wonderful. You talked about your happy hours. So if I have never heard about havening and I hear about, oh, Hillary has this happy hour. So what would I expect? Can you maybe you're
Yeah.
open to just do a little demo or just something that people can take from it?
Sure. I mean, I'll tell you the story about where the happy hour first started was, we had this pandemic that closed down the world in March of 2020. I'm a March birthday, and all of a sudden I had no plans because nobody was going anywhere. And I first thought to myself, wow, we have all this social distancing and social disconnecting because people didn't know what was going on. And I thought, hold on a second. I have an idea. So I said, I'm just going to do a happy hour, but I'm going to show my friends and family, because that's who first showed up, that this is an opportunity for you to come together. Let's celebrate the birthday, but let's celebrate how we can still stay connected. And I'm going to give you a tool that can help you during this really difficult time that we have no idea what's happening. And it just started there. And we were doing music and movement and dancing. And then I did a guided self-havening. And I'm like, I think I like this. And so it just became a monthly thing after that. And more people showed up and more people showed up. And now it's, 6 years in now, hard to believe. And I'm still doing the monthly. And now they have a theme. So every month I pick a theme. Doesn't mean you have to follow a theme. It's just giving you kind of something to think about if you can't think of what an upset or a problem is. And it's a challenge. It makes those little neurons work a little harder, right? Like let's have a little fun with it. So I still do the music because I think music is really important. And I bring that in and I do a demo even now. So one person will do a demonstration with me, and then I do a group experience and it's really beautiful. And it's all about building community because we're not doing any of this alone. And there's people that come back. I get trainers that come. I get practitioners that come. I get people who've never heard about it. And I think that's the beauty of it. Even my students will show up. Is that if my mom shows up, my boyfriend shows up, this is an opportunity for everyone to come together and realize that they're in a safe space. Because as we know, that's what havening is. It's a haven, a safe space. So this is my safe space in order to hug it out with yourself, because that's part of my hug it out method, is using tools like havening that can help you heal with humor, understanding, and gratitude in your life. And just be that personal pioneer practitioner of your own life first, because we have to be our own healthcare advocate. And it begins right here. So it's a fun way to just get together and constantly be connected to people. And I love the community.
So is there a link people can kind of sign up or
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
we will, we will.
I put all my events on my my personal website page at hilaryrusso.com/events.
Mhm.
And if you go to that area, you'll see my upcoming Havening Happy Hour, my upcoming Intro to Havening, which again goes a little deeper. We do a little bit of the history and the neuroscience, and I answer more questions for those interested in possible certification or training. And then I also have my trainings on there as well. So any
Great.
upcoming
So there
trainings
will
people
be
can find.
there will be
Yep.
a link under the video here. So if people are interested, they will
Perfect. Just
find.
yeah, love
Great.
that. HILARYRUSSO/events.
Wonderful. You mentioned something about hug it out. What is hug it out?
So Hug It Out was something I came up with a number of years ago, and it brought me back to like when we are in upsets with other people, because that happens. We get in little upsets here and there, and we don't always have to agree. And there's that saying, you don't have to agree, you can disagree to agree or agree to disagree. And I thought, well, we're always trying to make amends with other people, but the one person we forget to make amends with is ourselves. When was the last time you made amends with your own mind? We're so hard on ourselves. We have doubt. We have limited belief systems. We have our own stuff that we're bringing to the table, and we tend to be our own worst enemy and worst bully on the playground. So I thought, well, we're hugging it out with everybody else. Why are we not choosing to hug it out with ourselves first? So in that, created the hug it out method. And this is aside from, this is not havening. Havening is just a tool that could be part of the hug it out method. Um, it's a whole idea that in the healing, we have to have a little humor in the things that have happened in our lives and what shows up. And, everything might seem awful and devastating in the moment, but maybe later you look back on it, and you're like, huh, that wasn't so bad. And I'm resilient and I came through this. And you have a good laugh about the lessons, right? So we have to have humor in our lives. And then there's the understanding. The understanding is who we are, how we're showing up in the world, our core values, being able to truly understand and be aware of who you are and your growth and development and the things that you're doing to be a better human being over human doing. And then the gratitude. And gratitude we talk about so much. I mean, there's scientific evidence around how gratitude can help us be happier, help us live better, help us be more productive. But a lot of times we focus on the gratitude coming from outside of self.
Mhm.
And when was the last time you had a moment of gratitude for who you are? So it's more about the self gratitude, the appreciation for who you are and what you're doing and being the best you can be, even if it's just being an awesome friend or mom, or you bake a great cake, or you are so proud of the work that you're doing in this world. Have more appreciation for self, because we don't tend to focus on the positive. We're more likely to go towards the negative bias, which is to focus on the negative, because that's what keeps us safe. That's what helps Amy protect us in this world, the amygdala, right? So it's an opportunity to go within and see how powerful you are and hug it out with yourself. And it's really become more of a saying. It's become really a movement and a mission. And the book is in process. I'm really excited with what's going on there, and gotten really good feedback. So
I
it's
love it.
coming. Yeah.
Looking forward to hear more about it. Great.
Yeah.
So when we talk about, and I mean, that's what I'm also hearing and taking from our conversation, that you take havening and you're really connected with things that is coming from your background that you're interested in,
Yeah.
and you bring it together. So what is there anything like in havening itself where you can say that is that's the piece that I'm most excited about? Or maybe one of, I mean, we have different ways of havening techniques, or
Yeah.
anything that is really important to you for your students to get. So kind of
Oh,
different
yeah.
questions in here.
Oh, I love that. So, in addition to the hug it out method, I have something that I've developed called the Pioneer Practitioner. And this is not just for people who are in the havening world, this is for anyone. And when I came up with the Pioneer Practitioner name, which really came because a number of years ago, I got a beautiful email from Dr. Steve Rudin that said, "You're really a pioneer in this field." And I'm like, oh, like that hit me really hard. And you're a pioneer of well-being. And I really latched onto that because that's a responsibility. It wasn't just a high five or a moment of appreciation. I felt like it was a responsibility. So in that, I said, you know what? We're all pioneers in our way, but we're all pioneer practitioners of our own lives first, right? We have to be our own healthcare advocates. So that doesn't just include being thinking about your health and wellness. It is also thinking about your environment, your surroundings, the kind of things you're bringing into your life. And as someone who studied integrative health, we learn a wheel of the primary and secondary nutritions, which the secondary nutrition are the things that you eat. The primary nutrition wheel is your lifestyle, your health, your faith and spirituality, your surroundings, your friendships, similar in some ways to the blue zones in some ways, but it's really about that's the bigger wheel. So I thought that's really kind of what the pioneer practitioner is about. So with my students, especially, they learn this when they become pioneer practitioners of havening. They are learning about how to build their business. That's an element that I do, and I'm working on something right now with that because my background in media and marketing, I think one of the hardest things people have a problem with is, or they have a hardest thing dealing with in their business is really being the business man or woman behind the practitioner. And so I'm bringing 30 plus years of experience, sharing that with my students, and also how they can be not forgetting about the pioneer practitioner who also needs to take a step back. You know, I work a lot in secondary traumatic stress too because of my background in journalism and working with first responders and military and veterans. It's understanding that you're in the business of showing up for others as a compassionate caregiver and service person of this world of emotional well-being. Please take care of yourself first. That also means being a pioneer practitioner. So there's a level of coach that shows up as that trauma informed certified coach. There's also a level of practitioner that shows up that might be a little more nurturing. And I think you see a combination of both with me. And, it's the passion. And there's a saying, Gabrielle Bernstein says, let your passion be your purpose, and one day it'll be your profession. And that's just so much about what I want this to be for me, what holistically speaking is, what Hug It Out is for me, what the pioneer practitioner means for me.
And it reminds me of, since I do the evening of being a trauma therapist for quite some time, I remember days when I just felt really exhausted after the
Mhm.
one-on-one. And what you just mentioned about also taking care of ourselves as one of the kind of the main, or to start with before we take care of others, just doing the havening for myself when I work with people, it has
Right.
such an impact, and it really changed the game. So
Yeah.
now there's hardly any exhaustion or hardly any kind of feeling tired after working with someone. So it is really doing something good
Hmm.
for myself as I do, as especially when I work online, I do the evening on myself, or when I work with a client by
Yeah.
doing the evening hands-on, it's always also good for myself. So that's one piece
Absolutely.
I really, really enjoy.
Yeah, the idea of doing it when you're mirroring a client, especially if you're doing facilitated self-havening, to be able to do it, I think they feel more at ease because they see you doing it, especially if they're a young child, like a child, a young adult, or they think this is weird. I've never done this before. When you do it, they might mirror back at what you're doing. When you're obviously havening them, it's harder to do, but we're still taking an energy and a frequency, we're still sharing energy. I mean, we all are energy, even though this is a neurochemical, there is still the energy aspect of this as well. But I also think that's even between sessions, before you jump right into the next session, which a lot of people do, especially if you have one client after another, one patient after another. It's like, slow your roll a little bit and give yourself just like 2 minutes between clients, if you can't do five, while you're opening the door and one is leaving and another comes in, take a moment. You deserve that. That's okay. And I don't know if that's something many think about, but when I bring that up, especially to doctors and nurses, because I do a lot of conferences, I do a lot of corporate wellness workshops, and even I do recall where you were in Dublin at the conference, correct? You were in Dublin when we
I
had the
was in
conference?
Dublin, yes. I think
Right.
that's the
So
first time we met.
it was. And if you recall, I co-presented there with Irene Hajasaba, who is another trainer, also an unofficial mentor to me, but she's been a mentor in my life. And we co-presented on how the impact of secondary trauma can affect us. But at that end, if you recall, I also did a self-gratitude havening. And I had so many of you come up to me after, the doctors in the group, the therapists in the group, the coaches in the group, say, I have not thought about showing up for myself for a very long time. So thank you for reminding me.
Mhm.
And it's so important that we do that. So we're not
Indeed.
transferring that energy that that is not showing up 100% for our clients and patients if we're not taking care of self first, hugging it out with ourselves, being the pioneer practitioner and being kind to your mind.
And for me, as I'm coming from developmental trauma, so it's a
Yeah.
kind of the early childhood thing. This showing up very much has to do with our biography, with our experiences we have, because for many of us, showing up and presenting myself in
Mm,
life had or many of us had the experience of when I do this, something bad is happening.
mm,
Somehow I'm losing connection, I'm not belonging anymore, or people make fun of me or things like this. So it's very often it's still somewhere in the system. So if I
mm,
want to become a business owner and bring my stuff out, this is also what I hear. And it was actually also my case. It took a long time
mm.
to be able to even go online or even do social media. I mean, that was a huge thing
Yeah.
in the beginning. And I hear that for many, many people because it's something about bringing myself, making myself visible and standing there for who I am. And here again, havening is such a wonderful tool to support that process. It's not always an easy and a quick one. It takes some steps to get there. And what I'm hearing, you're supporting people in that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, that's a big area for me because it's one of the biggest questions I get due to the fact that I'm also quite well versed in the field of media and communications and being on camera for over 30 years. So I want to be able to support my students, especially, but also just people in general that are in the field of compassionate care. And they're so used to just being present and they're not on camera with things or they're not doing we're living in a digital age. We need to embrace it in some way.
Mhm.
Um, so if you're looking to go into that area, it's important to just let's work on why you don't want to be on camera. Let's talk about some of those things. Like what are the limiting beliefs? I mean, my very first student, my very first Havening student, who's now a practitioner, had no social media. She had a second career where she became a nationally board certified health coach. She is now a Havening practitioner. She came from the field of being a first responder, an assistant fire chief, nothing, no presence online. That woman is posting every day and valuable stuff every day. And I'm so proud of her. And I'm almost like, you're posting more than I am. So there's a possibility there, is what I'm saying. And I love seeing her sharing. So yeah.
And it is something, not for everyone, but there is something freeing also in being
Mhm.
able to just be yourself. And you don't know the audience, but just being yourself. And then the audience will react the way they react. But I'm being myself. That's
Yeah.
just really beautiful to be there.
And
So,
that's, I think, the way that the social media is going because and the algorithm changes every 5 minutes. It's like you can't even keep track of what you have to do this day and that day. And I've just found that being the most authentic person you can be and sharing your story. And look, you've been in this business a very long time, and you know that the age of therapists don't say anything, don't share anything about their lives, just sit on the other side of the couch is not that long ago. But the person you're showing up for and the person you're supporting does want to still know you're human. And I think there is a real beautiful connection now. And it doesn't mean you have to share everything of your own stuff, but just letting them know, hey, it's like hand on hand. I get it. I'm human too. I'm here to support you. You're not being judged. We all have stuff and it's okay, you know? And I think that's the big thing where social media has brought us together. But I think we also need to be really mindful and have boundaries around it, because it can also be toxic if
Mhm.
we're not too careful.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. So,
Yeah.
anything to round it up, you coming to an end, you would like to let us know, let us kind of share about havening and self-care?
I would just say, Simone, to all those who are tuning in, whether you're watching or just listening, is to first, if you're here and you're still tuning into this, it's not by accident.
Mm,
You are aware of something that is nudging at you. And if it's that you need more support, or you feel that you need more support, or there's a part of you that's like, just I know there's more, or I want to learn more, or I want to bring more tools into my life, whatever and wherever you are in your journey, listen to that part of you because it's not showing up by accident. And of course, if you want to learn more about havening, you can always attend one of my havening happy hours. They're fun. Everyone is just I have beautiful people. It's a very safe container. And it's fun too. Or learning a little bit more in the intro to havenings, or if you're ready to go and apply to take a training, I'd love to guide you on that journey too. But it always starts with a conversation, and I'm an open book about that. And then I always say, just book a time with me and let's just have a conversation, and we'll go from there.
lovely, lovely. We will link everything so people find you, and who got interested is welcome to join one of your trainings, happy hours. And I'm so happy that we had this chat, this little talk, and hopefully bring a little bit more knowledge about havening out into the world. Thank
And
you.
let me say one more thing, if I may.
Yes, yes,
I
please.
I love the fact that you're doing this. And before we press record, before Simone, I told you this. I said it's kind of nice to be on the other side of the interview microphone because I'm so used to doing this for Holistically Speaking and just for other media that I work with. But it's lovely to know that you want to share others' stories, especially within the Havening community, because we all have a story, and it's nice to hear them.
Mm, exactly. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.